We are live. We are talking touchdowns. And once again, there's no football tonight, JC. We'll just review what we saw this weekend. JC, how was your New Year's and overall thoughts on the National Football League's second to last week of the year?
I was talking about with my boss this morning. I spent my New Year's like most people who were born in the 1900s did, and I was in bed by midnight, so nothing too eventful for me. Left that to the crazy kids. But as for football, I thought it was a pretty solid week. I thought it was very indicative of in encapsulating the 2023 season. Some solid upsets. The teams that you expect to win in the big spot, lost that they have all season, and some results that will make next week far more interesting. It's always fun when you go into week 18 with more than one or two games that matter.
Yeah, we were a little late today. We had just finished the NBA show with Meg, and we were talking about all the various playoff possibilities. And so I think we're kind of well versed in it, but we will keep going. JC, if you could pull that up and kind of correct me if I'm wrong here on some of these, but I think I have a pretty good idea. But let's talk about what we saw and what we're going to take away from it. And I want to start, JC. Well, since Tyler's not here yet, let's just do games that I don't think he's going to care about too much. We bet the Bears -3. That was one of our easiest wins of the week. Fade dome teams outside, Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke, same person, blah, 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 blah. But where I think this game gets interesting is Chicago is now 7-9, and Fields hasn't been that bad. Now, I think they'll trade him and they'll move on, but he's definitely making a case for it, and he's definitely upping his value for the team if he ends up going on the trade market, because the way he's been playing, I think it's safe to say that he's worth at least a second or a third now. And there's a team that might get desperate and send a first rounder their way in order to acquire Fields with the way he's playing. DJ Moore, of course, played well, 9 receptions, 159 yards. And the Falcons, once again, disappointed. I think this will be time for Arthur Smith end as a head coach. We'll see. He really hasn't had a quarterback either. I think the Falcons will be in the market this year as well. So there's going to be a lot of teams hunting for quarterbacks. JC, I had this game kind of on because we had Bears -3, but it was such an easy win. It was nice to get a no sweat winner. What did you think?
Yeah, right there. I kind of last minute added it. I was hesitant on Friday, but felt like it was the right call, and boy, did it turn out to be. And I mean, the fans were chanting, "We want Fields" at the end of the game. So I don't know if that matters at all, but we've definitely seen such a large uptick from Fields in the second half of the season that we were not expecting, that it really calls into question what the Bears will do with that number 1 overall pick. I'm excited to see Justin Fields play football next year, no matter where it is. I think Chicago would be dumb to go after a different quarterback just because I feel like the guys in this
Really? I'm completely opposite with you.
I just don't think the guys in this year's draft are of that caliber. That you're not.
Oh my gosh, they have to be.
It's not like last year, and it's not like the Burrow.
Oh, I think they're better than last year's.
That's fine. But still, like, there's no can't miss guy, and so why would you completely roll the dice?
Caleb Williams is pretty close to can't miss, and Drake May would be number 1 pick almost any other year.
I mean, yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit. I don't know if it was Friday or last week, and I think we're just kind of on different pages.
Yeah, we are.
But I mean, guys with a lot more information and maybe a little bit smarter than us, who knows, are going to make that decision. It's regardless. I always think it's foolish to roll the dice just because you can. I think Fields is a service. Like, at worst, I think he's a serviceable quarterback. So you put the right team around him, I think you can win. And I just don't know why you would take a risk when you got something working here and build around him. But that's for the Bears organization to decide.
All right, yeah. I would be really surprised if he's not traded. Tyler, we started the show off. Hi, welcome. I know you're doing great because we just did the NBA show together, but if you want to let the people know how you're doing, that's fantastic. And we talked about the Bears win over the Falcons. JC thinks that the Bears should keep Justin Fields. I say, as well as he's played, he's basically just raising his trade value, get a second or third, maybe it's a team that even sneaks in a late first there. To get him, but I think they're going to move on. What did you think of this game, and what do you think the Chicago Bears are going to do at quarterback going into the next season?
I would keep him. I mean, outside of resetting the rookie contract for a quarterback, what do you improve?
Right.
You're gonna drop.
Caleb Williams both guys can throw the ball better than him.
You're going to drop Caleb Williams in here behind a bad offensive line, and he's not going to live up to the hype anyway, and he's going to be labeled as a bust in 6 games.
Oh, gosh.
So you trade back, you fleece another team like they've done with this new GM to get here.
Yeah.
You accumulate picks. If you don't land Marvin Harrison Jr., it's not the worst, because after watching the kid from Washington play, I'm not sure he's much farther behind him, and the LSU kid's really good too. So
the thing is, Marvin Harrison Jr. is so much physically better than that Washington kid. I agree with you. The Washington kid can track the ball, but there's a reason that Marvin Harrison's the number 1 wide receiver, and the Washington kid's picked to go between 10 and 20.
I know, but again, we're not dropping this guy as a wide receiver 1 on this team. They have DJ Moore, so whoever this is coming in is going to be the opposite guy. Yeah. Marvin Harrison and DJ Moore would be a hell of a combo. But the combo of the other two would be perfectly fine with Fields. You also have another first-round pick. You build the line right there. I think you keep him. The fans are buying in on him too now. He has the chance this week to knock Green Bay out of the playoffs if he does that. I think, honestly, it would be a mistake to draft a quarterback if I'm the Bears.
And even best case scenario, you're still going to take a huge step back next season just in having a rookie quarterback, no matter how good he is. Like
DJ Moore said he wants Fields as his quarterback. He said now it's on the higher ups to make their decision.
Yeah.
He's got the locker room. He's got the fans. Go ahead and make your decision now, Bears. You want to ruin all that when the guys are finally bought in on you?
Yeah. But if there's an organization that was going to do that, it's certainly the Bears.
Yeah, I don't see how you pass one of these guys up. I think you're maybe underrating how good these guys could potentially be, but we will see. And definitely, at least the Bears have plenty of options, right? I mean, there's so many teams that look hopeless, including the team that traded that number 1 pick, the Carolina Panthers. What was their final score? 26-0.
Yep.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about this game? The Jaguars can now clinch the division with a win. CJ Beathard started, and he didn't really need to do much against this Panthers team that couldn't stop the run. What are your thoughts on, I guess, both franchises, Tyler?
I mean, the Jags could make the playoffs, but Florence plays. I don't think they make much noise in the playoffs. Carolina's doomed. The new owner buried them when he pulled the trigger on the trade. He gave up way too much. Now he's throwing drinks on fans. They're in shambles for a while.
The only reason I disagree with you that they can't make noise in the playoffs is that every single team is so flawed. So I think they are live if they get in, just like last year, at least to win.
But look at all the guys they're missing at this point. Now they're missing key offensive linemen. They're missing Christian Kirk, who's not coming back. Zay Jones is banged up again. Their defense is banged up. Lawrence isn't going to be 100% when he shows back up.
All right. Well, what do you think of that game, JC?
Did you end up riding it with me, spread? Because that was an easy win as well.
No, I should have.
Yeah, that was a great
one. I was 4-1 this weekend, though, so I mean, it wasn't the worst weekend.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I also kind of slimmed down on my picks, and this is one of them, and it felt great. Yeah, I mean, Carolina, I mean, they're down bad for sure. I mean, yes, it sucks not having that first round pick, especially when it's number 1 overall. But I mean, if you can use the picks you have wisely, I think you can put together a competitive team for next season, because we've seen flashes with Young that, he might still be their guy. He's just in a terrible situation at the moment. Get him an offensive line, give him a weapon or two, and considering their the division that they are in, you're never far off from being able to compete in the playoffs. Still sucks. I mean, I think Tepper might be now the most hated owner in the NFL. I think that's fair to say, with Snyder out.
I'd have to think about that, but
Fair enough.
not looking good for our guy.
Yeah, and then as for the Jags, I mean, I think they got a chance in the first round just because they'll likely, be playing like the Colts or the Steelers at home as well. So, maybe they squeak past the first round, but I mean, with your quarterback injured, I mean, you just kind of throw your hands up on the season. I think they'll be back and certainly a Super Bowl contender next year, but without a healthy QB, only so high your expectations can be going into the playoffs.
All right. Anything more from this game, Tyler, before we move on?
No, I got nothing.
All right. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, Tyler, because not only did they not cover the spread against the Cardinals, they lost straight up, which basically clinched the 49ers now. 49ers are the number 1 seed, and Dallas will be the number 2 seed with the win. JC, I hope you have this pulled up. I'm going off the top of my head, so if I get these wrong, jump in and correct me. But I think that's correct. Terrible loss, Tyler. San Francisco, right? And Dallas is number 2 with the win.
I'm not sure what happens if Dallas wins, or I'm sorry, if the Eagles win and Dallas loses, they might still be able to get that.
Then the Eagals could still be number 2. That's why I say
Dallas
is number 2.
They can still get to 2, but I don't see them getting to 2. Dallas.
Yeah, that's what I forgot. But yeah, Niners have secured the 1.
Yeah. So, Tyler, we were talking about this before the show started, and you were noticing something after the game with the 2 coaches. Go ahead and talk about that, as well as your thoughts there as the Eagles' season of disappointment continues. They started 10-1, looked like they would have no Super Bowl hangover. But, I mean, JC, as you get older, this happens, right? Sometimes you wake up and you feel great, and around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, that headache kicks in. It seems like that's what happened to the Eagles this season. Tyler, start with you. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, it was the revenge game for their coach. He was one of the Eagles coordinators last year, so it was the perfect spot. I wish I'd have been able to break that game down with you guys last week. I had to leave, so I couldn't. I feel like we would have got on that spot, but man, the Eagles are stumbling into the playoffs. Losing the coordinators finally showed after so many weeks. The matchups they can catch in the first round, I think they could both be upsets too. Like Tampa Bay, if they don't get to Baker, he's going to light them up with these receivers. So they're in for a rough one. I don't think they make much noise in the playoffs. I think they've finally been exposed. A lot of changes coming in the offseason.
JC, what did you think of the Eagles? Do you think they're that? Do you think they can turn it around and still make a playoff push, or is it time to look to 2024/2025?
I think they're in the same boat as I just talked about with the Jaguars, and that injuries have just kept them down. Without knowing the extent of the injuries, I think that's what makes it hard to say. I mean, if they're rolling that same roster out in the coming weeks that we just saw, no shot. They're done. They won't win another game this season. But if those guys kind of have injuries, they can bounce back from in the coming weeks. Maybe they got a shot, making a little run. But I mean, they looked gross in every aspect of the game. And, I mean, their defense has kind of been the saving grace while Fields has been injured. But you allow 35 to the Cardinals, man. There's nothing positive that can be said about that.
All right. Yeah. Tough time for the Eagles fans. Let's see how they turn this around. We talked about the loss of coordinators. I think that maybe I was downplaying it too much. But it appears that's going to be the downfall here for the Eagles. Guys, I've frozen up here, which means I can't go through the whole schedule. Tyler, throw out a game, set it up for JC, and I'm going to wait for this computer to reset.
Let me get the results pulled up from
we haven't talked about Detroit Dallas yet, so we can
we dive right into that one, JC. What are your thoughts on
Okay,
Detroit?
yeah, let's talk
Dallas?
about that one. What do you think, JC?
I mean, I'm going to say the same thing everyone else in America has been saying all week. You know, it was a crap call. It was it was far worse than even the call we saw in that Chiefs-Bills game. But regardless, it was the call. And then I thought it was ridiculous for Campbell to go for it again, right? Like that. The odds say you got 50% chance when going for 2 points. They got it. They got to run it again. So I don't know why you wouldn't go with just kicking it and play for and go into overtime. But that's not Campbell's style. So you got to respect the guy that puts his sack out and goes for the win. So I mean that's him. That's how he's always been. So you can't be that surprised. Doesn't seem like the smartest play. But then again, I mean, if you hit it twice in a row, then he's a genius. So there's really no winning there. Interesting game, though. I mean, even the final result aside, kind of hard to say what this means for the NFC playoff picture, right? We all kind of think Dallas is a fraud. Detroit, they're just barely hanging with the fraud team. So, in my opinion, I don't even know why we're going to play these games in the NFC. I feel like we should just go ahead and hand that over to San Francisco and wait for the winner of the AFC to see who they're going to play in the Super Bowl.
All right. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody should have slapped some sense into Dan Campbell after the football gods gifted him 2 chances to put the game into overtime.
Yeah.
They said, hey, don't do that. And he did it again. And then they said, we're going to stop you one more time. Open your eyes and don't do that. And he did it again, and they lost the game. Stupid decisions like that are why this team won't go far in the playoffs. Because there's going to come down to a point in the game where it's like, you want to get cute or do you want to play football? And he is always going to default to let's get cute. That's his shtick. He wants to, I want to put my nuts on the table and try and win the game. Cool. You kick that field goal, you win the coin toss, your offense was going right back down the field and winning the game. Right. So you kick the field goal. I just don't get it at all. I think it was one of the stupidest decisions we've seen all year.
And for like the first time all season, their defense looked good. So even if Dallas gets the ball, you're probably going to stop them. They haven't been the world leaders.
I just didn't get the decisions at all. I think that was him just showing he's going to be stupid when it comes down to it. And when all else fails, he's just going to go full dumb. Like he's just going to lose it. So.
I mean, what a battle there, since McCarthy's also kind of the other king of
how can you out-dumb McCarthy?
Yeah, that's hard to do.
That's my take on that. Analytics out the window when they give you 3. Like after the second one, it's like, all right, just kick it. Like let's just kick the field goal, be done here, go to overtime. And he's like, nah, screw that. Let's try one more time.
If we're going down the statistical route, though, like they said, all right, you got 50%, you make it, you miss. We're back to another like 50-50 shot here.
I just couldn't believe he went for it on the 7.
Oh, I know. So that's what's kind of crazy. Okay, that was really dumb. Now we're back on the 2.
When they were like, all right, we shouldn't have put you back there. Just kick the field goal. It's like, just do it. And there's like, nah, we're going for it. They deserve to lose that game. I think they're getting upset in the first round by the Rams. And I wouldn't go handing that NFC title to San Fran so fast because they're going to have their hands full in round 2.
Against
the LA Rams.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the one team. Like
that's their kryptonite right there, and that's how Dallas walks into the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Because Dallas would draw Philly in the second round after that. They can easily beat Philly again, I believe.
Yeah.
And they've already beaten the Rams this year. The way to beat the Rams is to get the pressure on Stafford to where you can't throw the ball. They have the corners that can get the takeaways too and make plays and score points that I don't think the Niners have as much. The Niners can get the pressure, but McVay has also coached circles around Shanahan in these matchups. So I think I'd be on the Rams in that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that is the one team I will throw a little coin on just because I do think if anyone's going to cause some noise, it's them. But it still seems a bit far-fetched to think they'll make that good of a run, but stranger things, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those Los Angeles Rams, Tyler. For as high as you are on them, JC, we talked, Tyler and I were disappointed we didn't make the Cardinals an official play, but a play that I really liked that I never got to the window with was these Los Angeles Rams laying 6 in New York. And for most of the game, I felt like, hey, boy, I missed a winner. I should have trusted my gut. But the Giants kind of had a late flurry there. Did you guys have eyes on that? And the reason I want to bring this up is you guys are talking about this team could potentially beat the Niners. They just squeaked one out against the Giants. Tyler, how could this team beat the Niners?
Because this is the NFL and we're not going to overreact to 1 week of football.
That's what we do on this show.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I do.
Tyrod also had a hell of a game.
Yeah, I think Tyrod had 2 deep ball touchdowns that were deep balls to Slayton. It was like 1 play touchdown drives.
He led his team in rushing.
Yeah.
Tyrod just played a great game. That's really all it was there. I was really happy I ended up just doing a money line parlay with the Rams instead of taking them to cover. Because I was on the same boat as you spread. I was like, wow, like the Rams taking care of business. And I don't know, they just kind of took their foot off the gas and at least defensively took their foot off the gas in the second half and allowed the Giants to kind of catch up. But it was nice to see them still secure that win to keep things clinch the playoffs for them.
All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sold on the Rams being able to upset the Niners. But I guess you're right, Tyler. If we're talking about teams that have a chance, I guess I like them more than I like the Cowboys.
They got the
Even
best.
though the Cowboys will be like,
they're the team in the NFC that beats the Niners if they get beat.
Right? Yeah, I guess I am kind of.
If
with
anybody
you there.
else beats the Niners, it would actually be like a surprise to me. Like if Dallas played San Fran in the NFC Championship game and Dallas held that trophy at the end of the night, I'd be actually impressed. I'd be like, all right,
I'd be shocked if Detroit beat the Niners. I would be shocked.
If Philly turned it around and beat them in the NFC Championship game, I'd be pretty shocked.
I would say I would put Rams first, Eagles second. As far as
if they get healthy, sure.
Yeah. All right. Anything more on that game before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Let's see. We talked about those ones. Dude, talk about a backdoor cover for the ages. That catch that Devontae Adams made. So I got lucky there to cover the 3.5. But the Raiders, they played all right. That defense is really good. I hope we bring this coach back. I don't know if it'll happen. I'm getting worried. I'm worried that our defensive coordinator is going to get hired away for a head coaching job. He's done such a good job with this team. But that it ended the Raiders season. Now we're playing for pride against the Denver Broncos last week. The Broncos will have something on the line there. But the Raiders only have a chance to play spoiler. Now, let me look at Indy's scenarios. They clipped.
Broncos got eliminated.
Denver has nothing to play for.
Yeah.
Broncos got eliminated too?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. See, that's why I'm glad you had this up. Indianapolis clinches the AFC South with a win, and the Jacksonville needs to lose. They just need to win, though, to make the playoffs. So we should see a lot here from Indy next week. What were your thoughts as the Raiders fell to the Colts, Tyler?
Yeah, I didn't have many eyes on this game. I don't think I've seen many plays come across red zone either from this one. I know there were points, but I just feel like they didn't show this game. I mean, I don't have much of a breakdown, not seeing much of it. I'd probably bet the Raiders this week, though, of the games that have like no meaning to them. These players are bought.
Oh, there's one meaningless game I like a little more, Tyler. Can you guess?
No.
JC, do you want to guess which meaningless game I'm targeting next week?
It has to be.
It's one team that always smacks another team. Always.
No, that has meaning. I don't know.
Patriots, Jets.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
That was the one I was thinking of. But Tyler, I agree with you. I think that you'll get good effort from both teams as Sean Payton's trying to make a statement there, especially with the controversy around his Russell Wilson decision. And this Raiders coaching staff is coaching for their job. I think a dominant win in week 18 really helps Pierce go to Davis and say, hey, let me build here, right? If they get a nice win, right, a 20-point win, like the Bears got, a 37-17 style win, I think that means a lot for his team. So I agree with you there. What do you think of the Colts here, Tyler? I'm not really impressed with this team, so I'm really impressed with the coach because I don't think that this roster should be anywhere near the playoffs. Any thoughts on the Colts and their upcoming game?
Yeah. I don't think they should be near the playoffs, but the hell of a coach. He was one of the coordinators for Philly last year. It showed with how Philly looks now with him here. If he was in Philly, I don't think they'd be having these problems. Yeah. Also, if AR never got hurt for Indy, I feel like the whole CJ Stroud hype train might have been not talked about as much because AR would have put up some stupid numbers in this system. Next year is going to be interesting to see when he's back. But as for this week, I think the Colts train, unless the Jags lose, I think it's over. Houston's starting to get healthy somewhat where they can, outside of the guys that are already on IR and not coming back. Stroud's back. Their offense looked good this week. I think they walk into Indianapolis and they lock up that playoff spot. I think Stroud puts together a great game. I think Will Anderson on the other side puts together a good game too. I think the Texans, it's basically a pick 'em right now, depending where you look. I'm on the Texans this week, playing the Colts.
That's a tough one.
Right. What do you think, JC?
I don't know. I mean, so both teams, you win and you're in the playoffs, so it's pretty straightforward for this game. I disagree with your take about Richardson. While I do like him, and I think he's going to be a great quarterback, the little bit we saw, it seemed like he had rookie stuff to work out, so I think Stroud was still the more complete guy for this first season.
But the way they were going to run the system for him, he had a couple games where he had multiple rushing touchdowns before he went out by halftime. He might have had 16 to 17 rushing touchdowns by now.
Yeah, I mean, you could be right. You could be right, but still, I mean, it's just weird. This Colts team is so scrappy. They keep winning when they really shouldn't. So I definitely would lean Houston, especially with the performance Stroud put up this past week. But I mean, I don't think anyone would be that surprised if somehow, the Colts with that lucky horseshoe somehow pulled out another win.
All right. Do you guys care about me having the camera on? Because I can jump out and jump back in.
I don't care.
No.
I don't think anyone cares. All right. What else do we got? Let's see. JC, I was trying to avoid this one for you, but I think it's time to talk about it. Not the fact that Baltimore won, but the fashion in which they did really cemented their status as I'd say the top team in the NFL. I mean, they're coming off a win over the San Francisco 49ers. On this show all year, it's been pretty consensus that the 49ers were the top team in the league. But the Baltimore Ravens made everyone stand up and take notice. They put up 56 and they held the Dolphins to 19. And I don't even know which of those is more impressive. So this team is firing all cylinders. They're going to have a bye. And I know Lamar's one of the greatest runners we've ever seen, but his ability to throw the ball, he's so much better than he was the year that he won the MVP. And he's got a chance to do that here. The Baltimore Ravens look like they're destined to make the Super Bowl, Tyler. What do you think? Are they going to be able to pull this off? Are they primed for a fantastic playoff run? Is it going to be a Niners-Ravens Christmas Day rematch in the Super Bowl?
No, I mean, could be, but I'm not going to sit here and pound my chest that the two favorites are going to get there. They play like that, they sure will, though, but I don't think they can put together games like that week by week. Miami came in shorthanded, lost Mostert the night before the game he was supposed to play. He didn't play. They were beat up on the offensive line. Then they had more injuries. Bradley Chubb tears his ACL. Tua's throwing shoulder gets hurt. They didn't stand a chance with all the injuries on top of it. So score just inflated from there. Baltimore just never decided to pull their foot off the gas.
All right, JC, Dolphins fans have to be disappointed, but I know that you saw this coming because you and I both took the Ravens minus
Sure
3
did.
points. So I'm sure you were happy to win the bet, but I'm sure you would have much rather it been a 3-point cover and not a what did it come out to be 24-point cover or whatever it
28
was.
and a half. Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
33 and a
no.
half. 33 and a half.
Yeah. What were
yeah,
your thoughts
no.
as a Dolphins fan? And do you think you guys are still going to be able to regroup and make a run for the Super Bowl?
No, I mean it was a bad Sunday for me because I don't know what fool decided to stack the 1 o'clock slate that deeply. So there's all those games going on. I was watching this game far longer than I should have. I should have turned it off sooner, but I didn't. It was ugly. It was ugly. We got banged up. We're so injured. We're gonna have a really tough time against Buffalo. But I mean, even if we do, I mean, you're never totally out of it, especially with how what a roller coaster of a performance we've seen.
That game's in Miami, though, right?
It is. So we got that
Bro,
for us.
People are kind of writing that in as an automatic Buffalo win. I wouldn't be that surprised if Miami knocked them out. We talk about,
especially given how Buffalo's play. Like they can just come out and lay an egg. Like it's regardless of.
Haven't
what
they
Miami
historically beat the shit out of the Dolphins though? Outside of that one game where the Dolphins luck boxed a win.
Correct. Buffalo's won 9 of their last 10 against the Dolphins. However, I mean, Dolphins have been downright terrible for most of those games. And then in these more recent years, as Miami's gotten better, Buffalo's been a juggernaut. So, but yes, completely.
I just think that everybody's writing in this automatic Buffalo win.
Yes.
And if I'm Miami, I'm looking at this is one of our major stumbling blocks in the playoffs, and we get 2 chances for them, right? We're free rolling an opportunity to knock this team out of the playoffs. And let's be fair, if Buffalo were to lose, whoever replaced them, it's going to be way worse, right?
Yeah.
Way worse. If Miami gets a win, it really opens up the field there because it takes out a true contender, which usually isn't that case when you're talking about the 7th seed here. I just want to be careful and just assuming that Buffalo's going to win when Miami. We talk about the Cowboys home road splits, JC. Miami's pretty close as well here. So I didn't say I'm betting Miami here, but I don't think that Buffalo is a shoe-in that I've heard consuming all the NFL content since these games ended on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Also worth noting that they only miss the playoffs if they lose and then the Steelers and Jaguars win. So there's more than likely they'll still get in the playoffs, but there's absolutely
excuse me. Okay, see, that's why I'm glad you had that up.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to be eliminated if they lost.
No, if they lose and the Steelers and Jags win, there's a few things that have to happen.
Well, the Jaguars will probably win.
It's Steelers. That's going to be a hell of a game. The Baltimore. Steelers.
Yeah,
Baltimore.
But did Baltimore clinch?
Yes,
Baltimore.
But I mean, who cares? Like, it's still a Steelers.
But it's going to be like Tyler
game.
Huntley, not Lamar, right?
For sure, but it's in Baltimore, and Tomlin's a 3.5, and Steelers are 3.5 point favorite. So if we're looking at trends, it doesn't look great for the Steelers.
You want them to be a dog,
basically, yeah. So
funny. Maybe he can convince everyone they're dogs. He can just hide BetMGM from everyone this week.
Regardless of all that, I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough, and winning would be huge. It'd be huge to beat Buffalo. It'd be huge to get that home field advantage. But as banged up as we are, I'm not going to have too much enthusiasm about this team in the playoffs. Is the short end of it.
Yeah, I mean, what changes much from the Baltimore game to this game spread? It's the same spread. All the guys that are hurt are probably not playing in this game. They lost more key guys that aren't playing in this game.
Yep.
And Buffalo has everything to play for.
Buffalo has a quarterback, Tyler. What's the name of Buffalo's quarterback?
I mean, you see what Joe Brady's done to him. He hasn't let him throw the ball much.
Yeah, gosh, you're right about that.
I think Miami's getting waxed end of the year. Buffalo's punching their ticket.
Yeah, I don't know where I follow money on this, but
And Tua's throwing shoulders hurt. Like, what are you going to do? Run the ball the entire game with A-Chain and win the game?
I mean, I guess it depends on the extent of it because I haven't read up too much on that, so I don't know how bad it is.
But even if he plays and he's like, all right, he's 80%, like Buffalo's going to put pressure on him. He's going to get hit.
Don't forget, though, in the playoff last year, we nearly beat Buffalo with Skylar Thompson.
That was last year. It's
Fair
before
enough.
Joe Brady. That was before Joe Brady told Josh Allen he's not making these dumbass passes anymore.
Yeah, but also, too, I think Allen last year is probably better, though.
You're probably right.
All right. Anything more on this game? And of course, we'll be talking about it a lot on Friday. And it may be interesting to see if anybody changes their mind before then. As we get these injury reports, we get some quotes coming from these teams, and we see how they're approaching this game. The Bills beat the Patriots, but they didn't cover. We just talked a lot about the Bills. But Tyler, did you have any takeaways from that game?
No, I got nothing. I don't even think I watched a minute of that game.
I did, and I was just so upset that I didn't take the plus 14 as it seemed. I know you did. So
Buffalo,
I could have had
I
even more winners.
Buffalo, I mean, I just knew Patriots are going to keep it close. I mean, that's kind of the Belichick MO. And yeah.
JC, you know what pissed me off? My only loss was the Buccaneers. And when you broke this down on Friday, I thought like it was like just the worst. Like, obviously you were right? So it doesn't matter how you get there, right? I can say like if I say I'm picking this team because my cat likes their logo better and I win the bet, like I still get the money. But your breakdown was essentially like, I don't want to bet the Buccaneers because it makes too much sense and it's too easy for them to win. And then they ended up winning. I was pissed because I knew from the whole time. I mean, I know they tried to make like a little comeback there at the end, but the Bucs completely laid an egg in a game that they needed in order to really stamp their playoff position here. The Saints and the Buccaneers are now both 8-8. Of course, the Buccaneers have the easier game going into next week. But what are your thoughts here, JC? And boy, did we write these Saints off too early?
Yeah, I mean, you still don't know how to make heads or tails of the Saints team. And I will just say I can't blame you for my compelling argument not getting you off Tampa Bay. But I mean, we talk about it all the time. It's just there's some time when you've been doing this long enough, you just kind of can sniff a spot and you know to stay away. You don't know the betting. Like you're not. I'm not even going as far. I didn't bet New Orleans, but I just knew it was a stay away spot. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's New Orleans. They're just kind of a freak, and I don't know how they managed to win 8 games. It really makes no sense. If they end up in the playoffs instead of Tampa Bay, it's going to be a bit of a travesty because I think Tampa Bay would be fun to watch in the playoffs, and no one wants to watch New Orleans go in or host. Who would they even host? I don't know. The Eagles? Yeah, that'd be ugly. I mean, Tampa Bay and then whoever comes up second in the NFC East, that'd be a great game. If it's in New Orleans, it would not. Nobody wants that. So for the sake of football, we really need Tampa Bay to hold on to this division.
Man, I think the Buccaneers that much better than the Saints.
Don't let your Derek Carr love get in the way of this.
It's not Derek Carr love. It's the two teams both suck.
Sure, but Tampa Bay's better though, and despite the fact they didn't show that on Sunday, they're the more competitive team.
I don't know. I think Saints have a better defense, and the weapons are pretty close on offense. What do you think, Tyler? Who would you rather see in the playoffs?
Tampa, 100%. Nobody wants to watch Dennis Allen and Derek Carr in the playoffs. Keep those guys the hell away from the playoffs. Nobody needs that. Penix throwing Olave touchdowns next year will lessen the blood.
No, Penix throwing Devontae Adams touchdowns, Tyler.
No, you're going to end up with Jaden Daniels, so get used to that one. Penix is going to be a Saint. He'll fix Olave. He'll make sure him and Michael Thomas aren't going through mental problems like Derek Carr did to these guys, because Derek Carr sucks.
Thomas is going to live with AB and wide receiver house on VH1.
Nah. He just needs a quarterback to righten the ship for him. So he'll fix them. It's all Derek Carr's fault. He's ruined a lot of skill players over the years. Let's get this guy out of the NFL.
Did you just say he's ruined a lot of skill players?
Yeah, he's ruined some skill players' minds.
Tyler, you're in great form today.
They've gone crazy.
I'm glad you are. I feel like I'm lagging. You're carrying the show.
Just can't have Derek Carr around much longer. Baker finally played a bad game too. I mean, he was lights out for how many weeks in a row, and then he finally plays a bad game. I don't think he threw a decent pass up until like halfway through the fourth quarter. So
no, he absolutely didn't.
He gets another shot at his $1 million incentive this week. So we'll see if he can get it.
What? What's the incentive?
Win the division, you get $1 million.
Yeah, great job on him. That incentive last week. All right. Obviously, you can tell I'm bitter about losing that bet. The 49ers won and covered against the Commanders. Any thoughts? I mean, does anyone give a fuck?
I got nothing.
Whoop-de-doo. You beat the Commanders. I mean, I guess as Philadelphia's shown, you can blow these games, but I didn't feel like we learned anything. Did you, JC?
No. It's just, San Francisco locking in the 1 seed.
Texans, Titans. I mean, okay, the Texans won. But the manner in which they won was impressive.
Yeah, it's really funny how much we kind of waffled on that game on Friday, really back and forth, didn't know which way to go. And then, Houston just run a rough shot over Tennessee.
Yeah. Ryan Tannehill, he's washed. He's done. So hopefully for the Tennessee's sake, they can get Will Levis back next week, because at least it makes the team watchable. Derrick Henry probably should be ending up his time there, because I don't know if this team's going to be competitive in the next 2 years. So, hey, great job for the Texans, though. That's a fun story, and that's why we love the NFL, right? In the NBA, if you're rooting for Charlotte or Washington, I mean, bro, you got no hope. In the NFL, everybody knows anyone can turn this around at any time, because what did the Texans pick? Number 2 last year, and that was their pick, right? I mean, they were the second worst team in the NFL last year, and they're 9-7 now, which is why we all love the NFL. And it reminds me, JC, back when I did love your favorite sport, everyone said everyone loves spring training, right? Because everyone's full of hope. And unfortunately, I don't think that's true in baseball anymore, because unless you're in LA or a big market, you don't have hope. But
what about
in the NFL, what's
something
up?
to chew on?
What'd you say?
Cardinals. Just something to think about this week. The Cardinals, small market, consistently competitive organization in baseball.
When was the last time they won the World Series?
I think it was like 11. But they won.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like Ozzie Smith. I don't know shit about baseball. Anyways, I'm just taking shots, JC, but the Texans are a great field goal story. A story that did not feel good for a Seattle Seahawks slipper wearer was them losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But JC, another one you so eloquently broke down on Friday, and you just said Tomlin's a dog. I'm going to bet him. I mean, with that in-depth research, I couldn't believe the show didn't go 4 hours with all the studying you'd done for that one. What were your thoughts as Team Tomlin wins again? He has another winning season. Tyler, what are you going to do? Stop doubting my guy. Anyone can jump in here. This is just
let's start Tyler. Let's start Tyler.
Yeah, what do you think, Tyler?
They ran the ball well. Mason Rudolph found Pickens, won the game. Not all the Yinzers can celebrate Tomlin's winning year. Hopefully they don't make the playoffs, because then they just worsen their draft pick. That's pretty much all I got.
Oh, screw that, dude. Continue to win.
We're not winning a Super Bowl, so
how do you know?
Because
what if Lamar Jackson gets hurt, Tua gets hurt, Mahomes gets hurt? There's ways it could happen.
Yeah, and then we make the Super Bowl, and the team that beat us by 50 in week 1's waiting for it. And they beat the shit out of us again.
All right, yeah, let's see what happens. JC, do you have another in-depth breakdown of the Seahawks and Steelers?
You just get to a point in the season where you can just feel it. You don't need to do a deep dive of statistics. You can just kind of tell what's going on. Pittsburgh's on the rise. Seattle's on the downfall. That's kind of all you needed to know for this one. Very interested to see what the offseason will look like in Seattle. And I simply want Pittsburgh in the playoffs because I would love to see Buffalo miss. So I'll be rooting for them.
Yeah, I will too, Tyler. Stop rooting against your favorite team. The Kansas City Chiefs defeated.
We got more love for the Steelers than Tyler does.
Yeah, I know. What's up with that? Why do you think that is, JC?
I'm tired of going around in a circle and winning 9 to 10 games and losing in the first round.
I'm tired of winning 9 to 10 games. Come root for the Raiders, bro.
I do get it. I mean, that's kind of what the Braves have been my whole life. I'm just this constant. We'll make the playoffs, but
it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna win it this year. Come up short. Oh, we'll get it next year. Come up short. Well, we'll get it next year. Come up short. After so many of those, it's like
only 1 out of 32 teams wins every year.
If I could trade 1, or if I could trade 2 of the we'll come short and we'll get them next years. Trade 2 of those for 1 bottom out year, and then we can win a championship. I'd gladly bottom out.
I don't think you necessarily win if you bottom out, though.
Just want a better draft.
Like who bottoms out and does well? Look at Carolina; they bottomed out. Great job, guys.
I just want one time where we're drafting high enough to where it's like, hey, that's stud defensive tackle coming out of Alabama. He's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
But you guys are also like the best team at draft picks. Like it doesn't matter where the Steelers pick.
Those are like we get skill players late in the draft. Like we cannot get some of these guys. Like TJ Watt was a first round pick. Like we don't get those guys late.
I've never heard someone. I mean, like I understand what you're getting with championships, but I've never heard someone basically so upset about winning.
Yeah,
watched them win 2 Super Bowls, and that was like 12 when they won the second one. 27. They better go get another one.
All right. The Kansas City Chiefs, I thought they would be in line to get another Super Bowl this year. I don't think they are now, but they were able to eliminate the Cincinnati Bengals. That was going to be my feel-good story of the year. But Jake Browning could not get it done against arguably the league's best quarterback. Isaiah Pacheco went off for 130 yards on the ground, and the Chiefs get the win. Now, if I'm right, JC, they have nothing to play for next week now, right?
I'm sorry.
Is Kansas City locked in?
I believe so. Hang on.
Yeah, they clinched their division. They can't.
Division title. Yep. And
so they're just stuck at 4, right?
They're locked into the 3 because they won't catch the AFC East.
They're locked in at 4. Aren't they?
Locked 3.
3. Houston or the Jags or the Colts slides into the 4.
Yeah, AFC South.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Okay. Talk to me about this game, Tyler.
Yeah, I caught the back end of this one. I mean, the Chiefs, if they make the Super Bowl, I think it's all their defense let them there. The refs helped them out because that offense is absolutely terrible. But they figured it out that Kelsey's washed and you just have to bracket him. He can't do anything. He can't get any separation. There's no other weapons on the field. Mahomes can only run around for so long before he's gassed and he can't throw the ball down the field. He's going to have one of these games where he makes mistakes. They can't move the ball and they lose. So I don't think they're much of a threat for the playoffs anymore. I don't think they should be second and all that's behind Baltimore. But you look around and it's who else would it be? So they pulled out the win. The Jake Browning story was cool for like 3 weeks. He finally teared off. I think this was their year to win it all if Burrow was healthy. I'll say that. If Burrow was a healthy quarterback right now, I think the Bengals would be on a beeline for the Super Bowl looking at San Fran, and they'd be running that one back.
All right. What other games do we? Oh, JC. Oh, cute. Wow. I thought my cat was cute. You just trumped me. Chargers, Broncos. Do you feel like talking about it? Anyone?
I just think it sets us up well to bet the Raiders next week.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The Packers and the Vikings, man. The Packers looked good there. That game wasn't close at all. I was at a New Year's party. Tyler, I didn't see it at all. Did you watch it?
I watched the first half and I turned it off and went to bed because that game got ugly quick. The Packers, they were able to score points at will. The Vikings had this great idea to run Jaron Hall out there in the first half, which was just you're running out a CFL quarterback, and he couldn't move the ball whatsoever. They were down way too many points by the time Nick Mullins came in and tried to do anything, and he couldn't do much either. So Green Bay got gifted a win because the Vikings try to test out a quarterback that has no business in the NFL.
Yeah, that was a weird call. What do you think, JC? I mean, I still think Dobbs was the best guy out of all of them. I don't know why they were so knee-jerk with that.
Yeah, my guy Dobbs, he should have been in there.
I think they were just testing the room. Like, you got 4 guys. You're probably drafting one anyway. But let's run through these guys and make sure that one of these guys isn't our guy. Dobbs had his couple weeks. He started to tear off. It was like, all right, let's transition to Mullins, see if he can spark anything. Not really. All right, let's go back to the rookie who we wanted to try a few weeks before that in Hall and make sure he's not good before we draft a guy. So I feel like that was the idea there. And it was just after like 2 series, you should have knew to get Hall out of the game, but they gave him 2 quarters.
All right. Anything else, JC?
No, it just sucks. That was like my only loss of the week, and that was my best bet. So I felt bad for the people, but Tyler summed it up pretty well.
JC's fighting for those headphones over there right now.
Tyler, final thoughts on the week. Is there anything that you saw that made you want to place a bet right now? Is there any futures you think that we're overlooking? Something
if you don't have that Will Anderson ticket to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, go bet it now because he has better stats than Jalen Carter, and Jalen Carter's been a ghost for the last 6 weeks, and the Eagles have stunk. If he rolls into Saturday night and sacks Minshew once, I think, and they win that game, I think he walks away with that award. You just compare the stats, and he's got more tackles, he's got more pressures, he's got more sacks, he's got less games played by 1. Carter's just on the better statistical team at the moment, but the Eagles have sputtered down the end. So I think that's Anderson's award at the end of the year.
All right, JC, final thoughts on week 17 and the upcoming week 18 and the playoff scenarios.
I mean, I don't know. Nothing major. Got a lot to process. It's hard to not just bet that Ravens-Niners ticket. I mean, rarely do we see both 1 seeds in, but I mean, both are just like world beaters right now. So I don't really know who else is going to make a move. When you pick in both teams, probably odds worth punching that ticket.
Yeah, to me, it almost has like a Warriors-Cavs feel. I mean, these two teams just seem like they're so much better than the rest of the league. But we know this is the NFL, and one injury could just change everything. And it doesn't even have to be to Lamar Jackson or Brock Purdy. It could be a left tackle. It could be 2 defensive linemen in the same game.
I mean, CMC's already got a calf strain, and they're going to – well, I know they were like, you're not playing this week. Understandable, but he's going to sit for 2 weeks. Hopefully he's healthy. What if he's hurt by halfway through the first quarter of that first playoff game for them? Dynamics completely changed at that point.
I mean, Tyler, you've been saying it all year. You're just waiting for Lamar to get hurt.
Not Lamar as much. I'm saying CMC's already hurt.
Yeah, I think everyone's nursing an injury right now. And I think if the San Francisco Niners had a big game this week, I don't think we'd be hearing about it.
I don't know.
I think it's just a way to just –
We're talking about a guy who's always dealt with injuries who finally played a full year up until the last week, and then he got hurt. And now he's going to go into the playoffs with the team who's got the highest odds, and now he's finally back to dealing with injuries.
And he's going to have 2 weeks off to get ready.
But a calf strain too, like that could be a quick one where it's like, oh, he goes and runs one run and he pulled it again. So I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah. All right, JC, did you look over these lines? Is there anything that we have to bet right now?
What do we think about the Steelers -4? I guess I should say Ravens +4.
I'm not touching that game.
Yeah, I don't want to bet that game. How many people could potentially be ruled out there too?
I wouldn't want to take the points with Baltimore because I could see it happening where you get the points and it's like all their guys get ruled out. Or they play the first quarter and then they go sit and they're like, this game's meaningless to us. And I also think Baltimore looks and would you rather have Pittsburgh in the playoffs or would you rather have Buffalo? As much as they have a tough time with Pittsburgh, I think they'd much rather play Mason Rudolph and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs. If they can gift Pittsburgh a chance to knock out Buffalo, I think they do it. Your mic's muted.
All right, good point. I know you like the Texans. Have you already bet that, Tyler?
Yeah, I bet the Texans already.
The two that I'm looking at, but I don't think the line's going to move because they're meaningless. I like the Raiders and I like the Patriots.
I like the Raiders. Yeah, I do like the Raiders. I'm not betting the Patriots.
I agree with both those.
Yeah, there's nothing else that really jumps out to me that we need to get involved with right now. I think the Packers take money. I'll probably end up being on the Bears if that gets to 3.5 or 4. I think the Bengals -6 is too much, but of course, I mean, if everyone is ruled out, maybe that's right. Yeah, nothing else really jumping out to me. This is usually a week that I'm pretty light on.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. No need to force anything.
Yeah, so Tyler, probably a little more focus on the NBA this week, right?
I was just going to say I am intrigued by Tampa Bay -5.5 in Carolina. I know those divisional games always go a little weird, but trying to clinch a playoff spot against sorry Carolina could be. I think that's too small.
Yeah, it's down to 5 too. Carolina taking a little money. So, JC, with your beautiful guest, give us some words of wisdom.
Absolutely. We're going to see if we can get these in before she starts screaming. We're on the verge of nap time, but everybody is hanging tough. So with that, I would just like to say, average fathers have patience. Good fathers have more patience. Great fathers have an ocean of patience. And let me tell y'all, I don't have much patience.